It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Welcome to the Hockey Writers Grindline, or should I say welcome back to the Hockey Writers Grindline. I am your host, Patrick Brown. Joining me, as always, my line mates Devin Little and Kyle Knopp, and we are thrilled to have you join us for another show. Yes, we have been on an extended break. So first and foremost, Happy New Year from us to you. We are so glad to be back. We have missed you. We've missed each other. Boys, how you doing? Kyle, we've missed you. How you been?
Been great, man. Good start to the new year. Happy to be back. Great to see you and Devin. So as always, let's kick off the weekend on the right foot.
Good stuff. Devin, good to see you too. How was your New Year?
New Year's pretty good. I got to kick it off by being on a certain Arizona Coyotes show, so that was cool. I'm happy to be back in my home turf, so to speak.
Love it, love it. I'm in uniform as well, yes, as you can see.
Yes.
So
it's good to see you back in the red.
And we are good to go. And we got some ground to cover because it's been a while since we've done a show. So let's dive in. One good, one bad, oldie but a goodie, right? So you guys know, if you've been watching us for a while, we're going to start off with one good and one bad from the previous week. And I think mine are actually almost painfully obvious. My one good was that win over San Jose. Fantastic. Very nice performance. It's what you like to see. It's what you hope to see, especially against teams that are arguably marginally equal, maybe a little bit worse. It seems like the Red Wings are winning a lot of those games where they're matching up against teams that are like them. The matchup, obviously, we're filming on Friday. I believe tomorrow night, Saturday, is the LA Kings, and same type of scenario there. So we'll see how the Wings show up. In fact, I believe they're just flipped in losses and overtime losses, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, it'll be interesting to see. My one bad is going to be the game immediately preceding that, the 5-1 loss to Boston, which was just brutal and frankly not a fun game to watch if you're watching from the perspective of the Red Wings. So pretty basic, but those are my one good, one bad for the year. Devin, we're going to come over to you. What you got?
So I'm going to start off with the one bad, and it's not from this week specifically, but we've been off for a little while, so I'm going to cherry pick a certain thing. My bad is the World Juniors got canceled prematurely, and we were seeing, especially like Team Sweden with Simon Edvinsson, we were starting to see some of those Red Wings really start to shine and look like they were going to make a big ol' impression at the World Juniors. So sad to see that canceled for now. Hopefully they can reconvene and start her up again in the summer.
And somebody you may know was covering Team Sweden for the World Juniors. This guy. So that was doubly bad. Thanks for opening that wound again, Devin.
hey, I was covering Team USA, and I was getting real excited to see Carter Mazer. So right there with you.
Absolutely. What you got?
My good from that San Jose game is the two shorthanded goals they scored back to back. First time that happened in 100 games. That's crazy. Yeah. First time they scored back to back on the same penalty, since 1999. I was 5 years old. Cool to see.
I was just short of my driver's license.
So that was great to see, and obviously a 6-2 win was fun to see as well.
Good stuff, Devin. Kyle, bring us home. One good, one bad from the week or the month or whatever. It's been a while since we've seen you. What you got?
It has been a while. Devin got to go first, so he got to pick the nice low-hanging fruit there with the two shorties, which, of course, I have to mention again, that just to see that type of compete level and that type of drive and want to score when you're shorthanded, and then to do it twice in 39 seconds or 43 seconds or whatever it was, like that shows a lot of character from that team, especially coming back from a really bad 5-1 loss the week, or not even the week before, 2 days before. So that was definitely my good from the week. I think that's something that, you got to hang your hat on and build off of. And I think their special teams unit will do that. My bad for the week, or I guess we go back a couple weeks, and it's not that bad, but it's just something, we've seen him cool off a little bit, but Nedeljkovic has just kind of fallen back to earth a bit in the last week or so. And he struggled on some shots that you could tell he really wanted back and that he should be coming up with. And for a young goaltender in his sophomore season, like, you got to expect that every once in a while, but he doesn't seem to be bouncing back as quickly as he did last year with the Carolina Hurricanes. So hopefully we can see his confidence not waver as much. And I think, it's just a little small hurdle right now.
Good stuff. And we'll see, there hasn't been a ton of hockey, believe it or not, since we've been gone because of the COVID pause. And then obviously the Wings have had additional games canceled, including a game against Anaheim earlier this week. So it'll be interesting to see, but really, really good stuff, guys. Got to say, good stuff. All right. So let's move on to a friend, an old name that you at home who've been with us for a long time may remember. If the name Tony Wolak rings a bell, he dropped an article that I think we need to discuss and talk about a little bit. And that is about everybody's suddenly favorite polarizing figure, Filip Zadina. And let me tell you, polarizing he is, because it seems like as his struggles continue and he continues to not produce, more and more people seem to be getting impatient, seem to be questioning his I hate to say talent, but his ability to get the job done, right? And for you at home, Zadina, who had high expectations, 10 points in 32 games this season, 4 goals, 6 assists, minus 11. And I'm not a big proponent of plus minus. I don't love that stat. However, when you're 26th on the team, that does tell you something of where you are when goals are being scored. So though I don't love plus minus, he's 26th on the team with a minus 11, and just not producing to the level that he would expect. So I pose this question to you guys. Do you hit the panic button on Zadina? Does he just need to get it going some other way? If you guys saw the press conference with him, he was open and honest about how frustrated he's been, which frankly I respect, and it was a breath of fresh air. But is there anything to worry about, or do fans need to lay off? And Kyle, we'll start with you this time.
I don't believe there's any reason to hit the panic button right now. I think Tony lays it out perfectly in his article, just all of the opportunities that he's still putting together out there and that Zadina's getting. And with certain different line mates combinations, he's been able to produce better. And it just seems to be that he hasn't been able to find where he fits within the Blashill system. And I think that's really been the key cause to hit the problems in his game, is just finding where his role is within the team. He was playing really well with Verana last year, and Verana's been out the whole season with the injury. So if you take away one of his key pieces of, someone that he has built great chemistry within a short amount of time, and take that away from him, of course, there's going to be more struggles to really get it back under control.
Sure.
So I don't think there's any reason to panic necessarily. I think you got to give him another, let him finish out the season, hope that Verana gets back, gets healthy. You could pair him with him again, let him keep finding that piece to his puzzle and find out where he fits in the cog of the machine, and just keep plugging away, because he's young. I think, what is he, 24?
22.
And he's 22. Yeah, sorry. He's very young, 22. You still have a good 2-3 years before there's any reason you should really start to panic with him.
Makes sense. Devin, over to you. Do you hit the panic button on Zadina just yet?
Well, a couple of things I want to echo that Kyle just said right off the top here. One, he is 22. I think that
Sure.
It's tough to give up on a player that young. And if you're going to give up, you better be bringing something equal back, because let's be honest, they're not going to cut Zadina. They're going to trade him if they move on from him. And then the other thing is that forgive me, I forgot it, but
it happens.
No, yeah, it does happen.
I do that I did that literally mid-sentence on Howlers and Growlers a couple weeks ago, and somehow Haynes knew what I was about to say and reminded me. So I'm sorry I don't have that prowess.
I would be very impressed if you did that.
but no, you bring up Pat, you brought up the fact that he had that press conference and it was very open,
Yep.
and he was answering the tough questions, and it's you got to admire him for doing that. Who did that last season? Who had the exact same experience last season? Anthony Mantha went through a slump, had to face the music in front of the press, answered all those questions, almost the exact same scenario.
Yep.
And I have one question for both of you. Does Anthony Mantha play for the Detroit Red Wings anymore?
That he does not.
I don't think he plays at all right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
touche. Touche.
He's injured. He's injured. I'm sorry. I'm not throwing any shade to Anthony Mantha. I just want to put that out there.
If you're watching, Anthony, we're sorry.
My man, Anthony. I'm sorry, bro.
No, okay. And actually, while we're talking about Anthony, it did jog my memory. To what you said, Kyle. There we go. We're back.
Woo!
Yeah. Not only is he 22, so you shouldn't give up on him right this quickly. He also hasn't gotten to play with Vrana, and that was kind of a projection we all had. You pair Vrana with Zadina, but whoever down the middle. I'm not ready to jump off this horse until I see that. If you see that and it doesn't work, then I'm going to start changing my own view of this situation. But until then, I think that there's a scorer that Zadina hasn't gotten to play with, and what stride did he make last year that he hasn't really been able to show this year? Playmaking. He doesn't have anyone to pass the puck to. Give him Vrana, and we'll see what happens.
I think that's fair. You guys aren't going to like what I have to say. Tony's not going to like what I have to say, and you at home might not like what I have to say, but I've moved on. I think you deal him. I don't think his stock is going to go any higher. I think his stock is going to keep going lower. I think you deal him, give him a fresh start. The old proverbial change of scenery that really does make an impact sometimes. Shane Gostisbehere in Arizona is a good example of that, actually. But I'm done. It's not bad. I don't mean anything bad by it. It's just there's plenty of talent waiting in the literal and figurative wings. And he's had his opportunities. He's been on the top line. He has had his opportunities to do what he promised us he would do, and he has really yet to do it. So you guys can let me hear it in the comments. I'm totally open to that and respect that, but I'm in the minority here. I'm ready to move on from Zadina. So
can I ask you a follow-up?
Yeah, quick, and then we got to move on to the next segment.
What type of return would you expect from him?
You all know how my beer league GM skills go. But honestly,
that's why we're asking.
I would, considering how high he was drafted and how young he is, I would like a moderate prospect plus a second rounder, perhaps. I'm not good at this, and I was not prepared for that question, but that's about where I would fall on that.
I want to throw out one quick question.
If you say Jacob Chikrin, I swear to God.
No.
I'm kidding.
Just like a one sentence answer will suffice. What did you guys think of Blashill scratching him the other night?
Good move.
Yeah, I think it needed to happen. We'll leave it at that. I think it needed.
Definitely did. That can spark some life into you. And Zadina, was honest about that. I think it's a good move by the coach. I do. What did you think, Devin?
Again, who would that happen to last year?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the difference is Yzerman sold pretty high on Mantha.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not going to be
older.
For sure.
For sure. It's a different scenario, but there are some similarities.
Man, Tony sure knows how to pick them. Let me tell you, because that was a good article and good talking points, but we have got to move on to our next topic. So let's talk about New Year's and what has happened in 2022, because the Red Wings, though they should have played a number of games by now, they've only played 2. 1-1. I actually talked about those in my one good, one bad big win over the San Jose Sharks. 2 shorties on 1 power play. Still can't believe that. Before that, ugly loss, 5-1 loss to the Boston Bruins. So this team is looking just as Jekyll and Hyde as they did in 2021. But what do you take away from the new year? And Kyle, we will start with you this time. 2022. What do you take away from the Red Wings so far?
My biggest takeaway is that the Red Wings are still not quite there when it comes to being a playoff contention team. Yes. And I know we're going to talk about this in the next segment, but to just kind of jump on it a little bit earlier, they were ahead of the Boston Bruins in the wild card race, playing the Bruins at home and had the majority, if not all of their roster healthy and at the game. And yet they still got pummeled 5-1 and just looked out of place and lost at times in that game. And that you can't have that from a team that's really trying to push past the rebuild mode and into the playoff contention and beyond. And so that kind of really showed that they aren't quite there in terms of they're missing quite a few pieces to really be that contending team. However, the follow-up game against the Sharks and the rebound against the team that, yes, they should be beating, but is also somewhat similarly matched with them, I thought was fantastic. I thought that it was a great answering game. It was a great character game, and just kind of showed that the team has made those strides within the rebuild and are on the right track. I think we're still just 2-3 years out.
I think those are all really good points. And one call out, and it's even an obvious call out today because we've talked about him a lot. This is all without Vrana, who is without question. You forget about that because we haven't seen him at all. But the impact that he will have, I mean, that's expected anyways, upon his return, should definitely elevate the team at least a little bit more. So super good points. Devin, you got the last word on this topic. What do you take away so far in 2022 with the Red Wings?
I take away that, I mean, I feel like we've kind of talked about this before, but the team's obviously at this point heading in the right direction. You know, last year, you know, we all kind of unanimously decided that the team was, you know, the team had a good year last year. They made progress, but they still only won 19 games. It's not like anything to like toot your horn about. This year, they are definitely going to win at least 25. I feel comfortable saying that, at least 25 games, probably more, but probably going to push upwards of 35 if they kind of keep going streaky like they are. And that's undeniably better than what they've been over the last couple of years. We're seeing Yzerman's first 2 first-round picks on the team, and they are good. Like, there's no denying that. Seider and Raymond are probably the biggest reasons why this team is good now. And you're seeing Larkin have a bounce back year, and he needed one. You're seeing Bertuzzi have the breakout year that we kind of thought he might have last year. You're seeing the pieces. You're seeing that, okay, this team actually could be good in a few years. It's not just kind of hopes and prayers.
Yep.
There's actually some proof that we're seeing right now.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Well, strong start to the show, gentlemen. Let's take a quick time out. Thank you for watching us at home. Give us a like, subscribe to the Hockey Writers channel. We have so much good stuff on here. We've got shows like Blackhawks Banter, Sabres Scoop, Chicks and Sticks, Howlers and Growlers, of course, Prospect Corner, Union Junction, and the list goes on and on and on. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you sign up for our Morning Skate newsletter. Make sure you log into our Discord server and chat with us. I'm live in the press box during Coyotes games. Hop in there and say hello. Would love to see you. Bottom line, however you want to get your hockey news, that's how we'll bring it to you. If you need us to rewrite the words to Auld Lang Syne so that we have the ability to deliver a New Year's surprise of the haul that Steve Yzerman gets for Filip Zadina, we can do that. We can do that. So thank you so much. On a side note, we had such an amazing 2021. Really want to thank you at home. And I've never been more serious on this show in my life. Thank you so much. If you're listening or you're watching, again, we're on iHeartRadio and Spotify. You made our year so great, not just this show, but the Hockey Writers in general. And we are so grateful. So keep coming back. Like, subscribe. We love seeing you week after week. Don't forget to comment. And looking forward to having a great year. So enough with that mushy stuff. That's enough. This is a hockey show, for crying out loud. Kyle, has a good bit of foreshadowing you did, because let's talk about the playoffs. I know. Playoffs?
They still do those?
I had to. They still do those. So it's an interesting predicament, if you will, that the Red Wings find themselves in, because they're very much on the bubble. So pretty simple question, and it's kind of a two-part question. Can the Red Wings sneak in to the playoffs? And regardless of what your answer is on that first one, I guess if they can sneak in, are they buyers? Or if they don't have the ability to make the playoffs? Are they sellers at the trade deadline? So we're kind of combining two topics here. For what it's worth, I think the Red Wings are going to run out of steam. I don't think they're going to sneak in, which brings up the point, are they sellers at the deadline? Maybe. I think it's tough. I think if you're looking at the trade deadline, you're looking at players like who are coming up on contracts that are expiring, like Nemesnikov, Leddy. Nemesnikov is a great example. He's having a solid season. He's got 17 points in 34 games. He's only 29 years old, and his hit is only $2 million. Leddy, at 30 years old, he's got 9 points. Obviously, he was a great influence on Seider early on in the season. His hits a bit more at 5.5, but the Wings have so much cap space to play with. They could retain any of that if they need to. So I think the Red Wings are sellers. I think you see them move a couple of pieces that you're not, I don't mean to say you're not going to miss Nemesnikov because he's been fun to watch. But I think they're sellers. I don't think they're a playoff team, but that's just my 2 cents. Devin, we'll go to you next. Are the Red Wings a playoff team, and or are they buyers or sellers or none of the above?
First off, I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think, however, that they're going to cause a lot of headaches for teams that are in that playoff hunt.
Sure.
They definitely aren't. I don't think that they're going to be tanking down the stretch. I still think they're going to win, a fair amount of games between now and the end of the season. And that's why, they're going to need a fair amount of luck if they're going to get one of those top picks, because they're not going to be in a position to have really great odds at it. As for the deadline, I think that now is when you need to look at your team and really, single out which players are responsible for the progress this team has shown and which ones aren't. And the ones that aren't, is it time to sell them? For how much? And at what point in the season? Do you wait to the deadline? Do you start doing it now? I think that you run the risk. If you decide you're just going to sell right now and you're just going to sell off anybody that's not bolted to the ground, I think you risk kind of sending the wrong message to your team. Because let's face it, this team has made progress this year, and you want to reward that. You want to tell your team, you've done great this year. We have faith in this group, but we're also going to get rid of half of you. So have fun. I think that there are certain players on this team that fill depth roles that aren't, taking a spot from anybody, that I think that you can hold on to and know that, you've got your depth squared away for next season.
Sure.
A guy I think of as like Sam Gagner. You're going to trade him for a 6th round pick.
Right.
If you're trading him.
Right.
Is that really worth it?
Right.
I like what he brings to the team in his role. I'm comfortable bringing him back as opposed to bringing in a 6th round pick that might bring in a big old project.
Totally agree.
I think it's just time to figure out what you have and what you should keep.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I want to throw in there really quick before we go to you, Kyle. This team, though they're not done getting talent in the draft. I mean, you're never really done getting talent in the draft, but you're not as reliant, you're not as dependent on it as you once were. And that's evident actually looking at this upcoming draft, where you see, I think they've only got 1 second rounder, one first rounder, maybe 2 second rounders, and then one the rest of the way through. So not a whole lot, but they're not hurting for that anymore. So I think you bring up some really good points. Kyle, you got the last word on this one. Are the Red Wings, can they sneak into the playoffs? Are they buyers? Are they sellers? What do you make of this team?
To me, I would say that this season is probably the best season the Wings have to sneak into the playoffs out of the last 2, 3, 4, obviously.
That's not setting the bar very high.
It's not, I know, but they're in the position. They're only a couple of points out of that last wild card spot, which is something that we really didn't expect them to be there this deep into the season. I know we're not quite at the halfway mark. We should be closer to the halfway mark right now, but we're not. But still, the Wings are putting themselves in a place where they're competing for that spot, which, like we said, is a huge improvement no matter what angle you look at it from. Now, could Boston, maybe not Pittsburgh right now because they're red hot, but could Boston kind of falter and get in some injury trouble, get into some COVID trouble and lose some of their guys and go on a losing streak? Yeah, absolutely. Sure. And that would open the door for Detroit to step in. And so I think the possibility of it is certainly there. I don't think it's probable. I think, like you said, they are going to end up hitting a wall. You know, they're playing in the Atlantic, which is one of the hardest divisions, you know, probably second to the Metro, which is also in the East. So no matter what, the competition to get those wild card spots is outlandish to begin with. And then like you said, Pat, in terms of like rewarding your team and building for the future, you don't just start shipping away assets when you're doing that. I think you made up a good point with like Aleti and Nemestikov, who are on expiring deals. You could set something up with them for them to leave, get a decent, you know, mid-round pick, and then really work a backdoor deal with them to come back in the offseason. You know, same with maybe a Mark Stahl, a Troy Stetcher if he ends up getting healthy. And then to your point, if they really do want to move Zadina, you know, maybe they do move him a little bit before the deadline, like they did with Mantha last year. I think that might be a little more of a stretch because there's not quite as many buyers in that market, maybe. But, you know, I think, you know, we saw Yzerman pull it off last year without expecting it to happen. So it's the possibility is definitely there, but I don't see them selling off anything in large quantities. If it is, it's maybe one or two players.
Yep. All good stuff. You reminded me by bringing Zadina up again, by the way. I do at least want to call out that was not nobody scratched their head when he was drafted. Everybody kind of celebrated when Zadina was drafted. And it's easy to lose sight of that. Even as critical as I am lately of Zadina, I was thrilled when the Red Wings got him. So I do at least want to kind of throw him a bone there. And you brought that up, Kyle, and that reminded me. So credit where credit is due. All right. Really, really good points. We've got one more topic to talk about. And frankly, it's exciting to have this conversation right now because even a year ago, we weren't even really having this conversation. But we've got Larkin, Seider, and Raymond all up for the All-Star vote. Who are you going to send? It's cool to think about the fact that this is even a topic of discussion. I'll tell you, choosing one from my end, I'm sending Seider. I'm okay. Pouring a big tall glass of apple cider and I'm saying, you know, this kid has stepped into a role that's incredibly challenging, that not only is he performing well on the offensive side, his defensive prowess and intelligence is off the charts, and he has stepped into a role seamlessly. You know, Raymond's numbers are a little more, at least they were a little more impressive, a little more eye-popping, but wouldn't you expect that out of a forward, even if he is only 19? Love Dylan Larkin. We'll always love Dylan Larkin. And if he goes, no argument there. Any of these would be a fine choice, but I would cast my ballot for Moritz Seider is where I would go. So Kyle, who you got in that race for the All-Star game?
First, I want to acknowledge that I love that selection. I think that's a wonderful selection, but that's not where I'm going to go. Actually, you know, I think Seider's excellent. I think Raymond has played excellent, and they both are very deserving. However, to me, I think if they were to get snubbed, so to speak, or were not invited, I think it would maybe cause to be more of a motivator for them than a detriment. So I don't see that ruining their game or ruining their confidence if they were to be left behind. Now, that's not to say that would cause detriment to Larkin, but I think this has been one of those seasons that Larkin needed to have. He needed to have this bounce back season. He needed to have this type of production this year, and he has exceeded what everyone really thought he would do. And I think he really needs to be recognized and honored in that. And so that's why my vote would go to Dylan Larkin. I
love it, Kyle. And I mean, you know, especially like you said, after the season he had last year, and man, was he getting dogged. Not by anybody on this show. We were all his staunchest defenders all last year. Go look at the tape. It's on YouTube. Go look at the tape. So it's great to see him. So please go look. It's great to see him having the season he is. So, Devin, you get the last word on the first show of 2022. Who you got in the All-Star game?
Well, we have a vote for Seider. We have a vote for Larkin.
Oh, is this gonna end perfectly? Are we got this? We got this.
And
Do we expect anything else?
yeah, I mean, come on.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, it's got to be Lucas Raymond.
That was a quiet one. He did a quiet one.
I will say, Kyle, if you hadn't said what you said about Larkin, I was gonna make that point because I do think that he's only been to the All-Star game once in his career, and I think that's crazy because
He won the fastest skater contest too.
Yeah. He's been the Red Wings best player pretty much since he joined the team, and he's only been to the All-Star game once. Like Mike Green went when he didn't go. That's crazy to me.
Whoa.
He was having a killer year that year, though.
Yeah,
I mean, at like 34 or whatever he was at the time.
But it's got to be Lucas Raymond. I mean, he's not. We figured that Seider was going to do well this season. I mean, we were all like, there was no question that he was going to be on the team, but none of us in this group thought Lucas Raymond was going to make this team.
Oh yeah.
Not only did we not think he was going to make the team, but we definitely didn't think he was going to do what he's done this season. He's basically single-handedly revitalized the Red Wings offense.
Absolutely.
He's a 19-year-old kid. He's got nothing but the sky ahead of him. I mean, you know my shtick by now. Choo choo. You know I'm all about this kid. Send this kid to the All-Star game so that anybody who doesn't realize how good this kid is can finally get on board this train.
Yep. Love it.
I like that. I like that argument.
Love it. So I actually have
the train.
Quick lightning round. Just one word answer. I'm putting everybody on the spot, including myself, but we're thinking about Larkin winning that fastest skater competition. Made me think of something that I often debate with myself in my own head. All-Star game or skills competition? What's your favorite thing to watch? And I will start. Hands down, I love watching the skills competition. Everything about it. I never miss it. There have been years I haven't seen the All-Star game. I never missed a skills competition. I love it. Devin, All-Star game or skills competition?
I don't care about games that end with a final score of 12-10. I care about who has the hardest shot and who can skate the fastest. It's the skills competition for me.
Love it. Kyle, All-Star game or skills competition?
So it used to always be the skills competition, especially back when the All-Star game was one game. Now that they do the little tourney, it's the 3-on-3. And it's a callback to John Scott in that first year, man. Like I gotta go when you get those types of John Scott moments. I gotta go All-Star game just for recent bias. Yeah. But up until they started doing that tournament style 3v3, it was always the skills comp for sure. I used to love watching Ally Afraid to rip slap shots, man. When I was growing up, that was the best.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, boys, that was a pleasure. It's nice to be back. That's our show for you at home. We want to thank you again for joining us. Give us a like, subscribe, comment, share. We love to hear from you, so make sure you tweet at us at THW Grindline. We'll answer your question or your comment on the very next show. Don't forget, again, subscribe to Morning Skate, our morning newsletter. Join our Discord server, and we will see you again next time. Cheers.